What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. International break all said and done now. Now we can focus, well, I say we can focus on Tottenham, but it's still a while till we play. I think 12 days since Spurs' next play. Obviously, FA Cup this weekend. And then it is that trip to Sunderland away. Roberto De Zerbi's first game in charge. We have got an action-packed stream for you guys today. But let's round off the Spurs international break and see how our players did get on over the last week or so. And we're going to start off with Austria and with Kevin Danso. First game, Austria won 5-1 against Ghana. It's a bit of a Kevin Danso derby because he is Ghanaian and Austrian all at the same time. He did start the game and he played just the first half, to be honest. Didn't play after that. And then the second game, they played South Korea. He didn't get on the pitch, but we were watching the game last night. I think South Korea were probably the better of the two teams, but it was nice to see him and Sonny linking up together. You know, there was all those pictures doing the rounds, as we're going to bring on screen in a second. Whenever Sonny sees a Spurs player, it just fills your heart.
100%. He's always got such close relationships with all the players he's ever played with. You can see immediately connection, reuniting that friendship. Nice to see, and also good he didn't get too overplayed, albeit remains to be seen whether he's going to be a De Zerbi kind of player or not, whether De Zerbi will bring that back three and Danso will get the nod, or whether he's going to be out of the picture. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, I'm glad he came through the international break unscathed.
Yeah, absolutely. So only 45 minutes and he's gets a nice rest now, and obviously all Spurs players do until the next game. Next up is the Netherlands. They had a double header, one against Norway, one against Ecuador. So in the first game, they beat Norway 2-1. Van der Ven playing 90 minutes at left back, a Javi, an unused sub. In the second game, they drew 1-1 with Ecuador. Javi getting 77 minutes in the number 10, and Van der Ven getting a complete rest in that game. So nice that one of them played in either game, but one of them got a rest in both games as well.
Yeah, it seems in this international break, it's been very much an opportunity for managers to be experimental. So I don't think in many games any player played like 90 minutes in both. I saw it in the goal that the Netherlands scored, the first goal. Javi was heavily involved in the build-up to the goal. Brilliant. I think he played a really nice ball out wide to Gakpo, who put the ball across the face and it caused an own goal. And he seemed to have a pretty decent game by the numbers.
Yeah, 1 out of 2 successful take-ons, 1 long ball, 2 passes into the final third, 3 tackles, 1 clearance, 3 ball recoveries, and 6 out of 8 ground duels as well for Javi Simmons. So nice to see him actually step up a little bit for the Netherlands, because I think his last couple of performances, he's been very much in and out of the team and not put in the greatest display. So good to see him back in his natural position and actually performing.
Definitely, and I believe under De Zerbi he'll be playing in that number 10 role. I don't think he'll be out wide. Look, you never know, but that's what I think. That's what I think the idea will be. So I'm really looking forward to the evolution of Javi in these last 7 games.
Yeah. Moving on to England, not the greatest international break for England. Drew 1-1 with Uruguay at Wembley. Spence and Solanke both starting the game. 70 minutes for Spence, 55 minutes for Solanke. And then they'd lost 1-0 to Japan at Wembley. First time England have ever lost to an Asian team, which is mad to think about. And both players didn't start, but Solanke came on for the last half an hour, but clearly didn't make too much of an impact.
Yeah, we were watching bits of that game, and Japan seemed to be the ones making all the running throughout that game, didn't they? Which was quite surprising. I think they have such actually really good level technical players, the Japanese, and you could see the little short interchanges, the sprint into the space. England really struggled to handle it, and that's got to be a bit of a worry ahead of the World Cup, albeit I remember just before the Euros when we made the final, I think we lost 4-0 to Hungary, not long before that. So you got to sometimes take things with a pinch of salt. Tuchel, obviously in this specific one, he was definitely being quite experimental with his lineup. So I don't think you can learn too much from the result, but I think the performance has got to be a bit of a concern ahead of what is a very big tournament for England. In terms of Solanke, didn't really impress, it seemed, in the half an hour he played. Some people say Danny Welbeck's chances increased having not even got called up, given the displays of our strikers. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Do you think he's definitely going to go, Solanke?
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's got to have a strong end to the season, in my opinion. I think there are strikers there that could easily take his spot. You know, Solanke has had a very stop-start season, hasn't he? So I think that, you know, Watkins is there. Obviously, Harry Kane is there. Calvert-Lewin, I don't think did himself any favours in the first game against Uruguay. Like you mentioned, Danny Welbeck. Look, there are players.
Watkins wasn't called up, was he?
No. I feel like these high-profile players that weren't called up, they weren't called up because probably Tuchel knows they're going to be on the plane.
They're going to be on the plane? I thought, well, like who?
Like Watkins, like Trent, like whoever it may be. You think the opposite? I don't think so. I think Watkins for sure is going.
I think he's because he knows they're not going to be on the plane.
What, you think he would rather take Calvert-Lewin, Solanke over Watkins?
I think he's testing them out because I think he's not going to take Watkins.
No, I think he's for sure taking Watkins.
I don't know.
I think when you're looking at Watkins against Solanke, Watkins has clearly had a better season than Solanke.
You say that. He has not been great this season, Watkins.
Well, he's been better than Solanke, though.
I mean, since Solanke's come back, he's been quite good.
He's had a couple of good games, but
he's been scoring, hasn't he? Like 4 or 5 goals. Yeah,
but obviously Watkins had a period during the season as well where he looked really good. So I think that I think Watkins definitely going to be going. I really do.
I think it's not certain. I think it's not certain at all.
We'll see. But like you said, it was a very experimental squad. So you're saying like Trent wasn't called up. You think Trent's not going to go?
Yeah.
I think he will go. I think these players will go.
I think he's not going to go.
Why not?
Because I think he believes he's got better options, and Trent doesn't really fit what he wants to do. Which I think is wrong, but I think Trent's not going.
I think both Trent and
Trent's had no horrible. He's not had a good season, Trent.
Yeah, I know, but I still think they're going to go. I really do. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Trent and Watkins are actually going to miss out on the England squad? I really can't believe it if they are. Anyway, next up is Spain. Spain beat Serbia 3-0 in the first game. Pedro Porro getting a complete rest in that game and playing 90 minutes in a 0-0 draw against Egypt. Apparently got man of the match in that game as well against Egypt, keeping a clean sheet. So, yeah, good to see him back on form.
Yeah, for sure. Great that he had a good game. And I think another one who I think should benefit from the change of manager as well. And good to see him getting man of the match. And he regularly has very impressive performances for Spain. He's regularly one of their better players. Yeah,
90 minutes played, 2 shots, 3 chances created, 1 dribble, 12 passes into the final third. 12 passes into the final third. 6 tackles, 5 ball recoveries, 10 out of 15 duels won. Not dribbled past once, and 8.3 rating, which I think is on Sofa's score. So a man of the match display from Pedro Porro. So big up to Pedro. Definitely. That's what we love to see. All right, next up, we're going to look at Argentina. They beat Mauritania 2-1. Romero captaining the side, playing 90 minutes, and they beat Zambia 5-0 with Romero playing 90 minutes, but not captain this time as Messi was in the lineup for that game. But yeah, it's an interesting one because I've seen that apparently there's been a lot of backlash over these 2 games for Argentina because the squad feel like they should be playing much higher opposition or much more competitive games in the build-up to the World Cup, and they've been playing Mauritania and Zambia, so I can kind of get where they're coming from.
100%. I think especially coming into this as holders, you've got to keep yourself on your toes, don't you? You can't. I think we've seen there's a bit of a curse at the World Cup where I guess it didn't happen with France, but with previous winners, the next World Cup, they either like go out early in the group stages or don't have a great tournament. And sometimes, you know, once you get over that hurdle of winning, it's hard to like keep that hunger that you had before winning your first one. So I think challenging yourself against better opposition is a really good way to guard against that. So I understand the frustration, to be honest.
And like Romero was responding to those kind of criticisms after the game, and he says, nah, they're all matches. Sometimes they turn out like that, especially the friendlies. We know what we are. There are 2 months left until the World Cup, and we're going to give it our all. We're going to come back and leave a good impression. So, I mean, obviously they go into the tournament as holders and as probably the favourites, one of the favourites at least.
Yeah, I don't know about the favourites. Maybe they're definitely up there. Sure, they can't. They're going to do it again. It'd be amazing if they did.
Well, everyone banging on last World Cup 4 years ago about Messi's last World Cup,
Yeah.
and it looks like he's going to this World Cup.
And I think I mean, I watch him play. I still think he's one of the best players in the world, even now, even at 30. Yeah, I think he could still play for Barcelona if he wanted to. So I wouldn't rule out him having another great tournament.
Yeah, agreed. Against Zambia, he got a foot mob rating at 8.2, 107 touches, 96 out of 97 accurate passes, 7 recoveries, 6 out of 6 ground duels, 6 tackles, 2 out of 3 accurate long balls, 2 clearances, 2 headed clearances, 2 passes into the final third, 1 out of 2 aerial duels, 1 and 1 interception. Sakuti went out to Argentina national duty, meaning business. Senegal beat Peru 2-0. Sarr came on for the final 10 minutes. However, he did miss the last game through injury, which is not great.
Yeah.
We don't know the extent of the injury or anything like that, but at this point, all we know is that he missed Senegal's final game through injury.
I believe it was a shoulder injury, I think they said.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it's nothing too serious. It was always going to be a tall order for Tottenham to come through this international break unscathed, and it seems as though we've got one little casualty. Let's just hope that it's not. It's only a simple one. Let's hope it's not a bad one.
France beat Colombia 3-1. Randall Kolo Muani playing the last half an hour of that game. No goal contributions for him, but it must be unbelievable for him. How is he in that French squad and getting minutes as well?
Deschamps loves him. He was part of the last World Cup squad. He regularly actually made an impact, albeit he'll be remembered for that last minute miss in the final. But he's someone that Deschamps really trusts, and it looks like he's probably going to be on that plane by the looks of things. Because sometimes international managers have those players they trust, even if they're not doing it totally at club level. If they are fit and available, they all pick them.
Yeah. And one of the games of the international break was Sweden 3, Poland 2, which sent Sweden and Bergvall and Dejan Kulusevski to the World Cup. Bergvall came on in the last 20 minutes, and the celebrations at this end of the game were a joy to behold. Bergvall right in the thick of the action of it all. Look at this. He was on the microphone guiding the fans. It was really great to see, to be honest. So I'm going to... gonna love seeing Bergvall at the World Cup, to be fair.
Definitely, and I watched some of the individual highlights of his last 20 minutes cameo, and he seemed to really impact the game positively and really change the game. So that's really great to see. And he was very involved in the winning goal as well. His shot was saved by the Polish keeper, which rebounded to another Swedish player. He hit the post and Gyökeres scored, but it all started with a really good effort from Bergvall. And he also came on and put on some really big challenges and got the crowd going. And it looks like he really was a big part of dragging them to victory and to the World Cup. And I think that his excitement at the end of the game, obviously he's a young player going to his first World Cup, but I think his part to play in the win, I think, even though it was only a 20-minute cameo, got the blood pumping, I think. And great to see him in that kind of form with our running coming as well.
Yeah. If you go to the video underneath this, look at this is his post-match interview. Look how excited he is. It's just so nice to see.
Go to the beginning.
He's just grabbing the microphone and screaming down it. He's absolutely jubilant.
Fantastic.
Which he thoroughly deserves. And there's a picture of Decky as well. Looked like he had a tear in his eye watching the game on the sidelines with his teammates as well.
Let's hope he makes it. He's fit enough as well. Yeah, great for him. It would be a brilliant end to this whole saga if he could make the World Cup.
Yeah.
His whole injury, year, coming up on the year at the moment, it'll be a brilliant end to it if he can make the World Cup and really represent his country at that level. That'd be fantastic for him because it's been such a hard year for him.
And there's quotes from him actually after the game that says, "As I said, I have strong images in my head all the time that I will play in the World Cup. All the time. When the heart speaks to you, you have to listen. As I said, I believe 100% that I'll be healthy for the World Cup. For me, it was never being about being healthy. It's about coming back stronger and faster and definitely smarter. Because for what I have worked these 10 months, I have put in 8-9 hours per day, every day without results. So I'll definitely be stronger. And it is up to me to solve the situation so I come back in good form, because I never want to be in a place where I cannot help on the pitch and be myself. Otherwise, I would rather not play. So I have a clear plan for how I'll come back. And then, with God's help, everything is always possible.
Good stuff.
He's convinced. Absolutely convinced. And there's one more, Bergvall just commenting on Decky, saying, of course, the goal for him is to come back and to come back for the World Cup. He's a part of this 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's Sweden. So congratulations to Sweden. Let's talk about Northern Ireland now, because a certain Northern Irish player got their first goal for their country, and that is Jamie Donnelly, who fired Northern Ireland 1-0 ahead in Wales, in Cardiff. And the game ended up being 1-1, but it's great to see. I mean, we were watching the Korea game at the time when we got the notification that Donnelly scored. I was so happy for him, man.
Yeah, brilliant. And he seems to be... things seem to be happening for him at the moment, back from injury after, getting injured in his first game for Oxford. He's now starting to play regularly for them, got a goal, and now on international duty, getting his first goal for Northern Ireland in Cardiff as well, in a big game on international level. So fair play to him. I hope he goes from strength to strength. There's so much excitement about the talent. We know when he was obviously in our youth academies, he was one of the ones people earmarked as one of the most talented. His spell at Leyton Orient showed what an amazing talent he is. And let's just hope, he keeps going from strength to strength, and already getting goals at international level was a really good start for that as well.
But on the other hand, a bit of an upsetting debut for Tyrese Hall for Jamaica, as they lost 1-0 to Congo. So that means that Tyrese Hall's World Cup dream is over. Look, it was, a month ago he probably thought there is no chance I'm ever, didn't even come to his thinking, and then he gets called up for Jamaica. And then you're thinking, wow, I'm actually a game away here from World Cup. But unfortunately it wasn't to be.
Yeah, it's a shame.
England under-21s, though, smashed Moldova 4-1. Archie Gray playing 80 minutes, putting in a man-of-the-match display and a really nice goal as well in there for Archie. What a nice finish this was for Archie Gray. Yeah,
and he seems to be getting more and more goal contributions as the season's going on, and he seems to be taking more responsibility. Obviously, getting the start for the under-21s, getting man of the match. Absolutely brilliant for him, playing in midfield, it seems, and a really great goal. And the guy is really, I think, coming into his own at the moment. It feels, Archie Gray. He's really kind of I think he's progressing from a player who's doing well for his age to a player that actually is now becoming a bit more of an outstanding player, and that is really great to see. And we know the talent he has, and he's making more and more of an impact at Premier League level, and now he's getting goals at international level as well. It's brilliant. Yeah,
and it's great to see him get man the match when Ethan Nwaneri was playing, scored 2 goals. And Archie Gray, obviously, because it's so easy just to give a guy who scored 2 goals man the match. But it just shows you how strong Archie Gray's performance actually was.
Definitely.
And this England under-21 team, man, they've got some talent in there. They've got Dibbling, Nwaneri, Joe Bellingham, the captain, alongside Archie Gray, Lewis Skelly, Acheampong, Ashley Phillips started the game as well. Rico Lewis at right back. So they've got some serious talent in England under-21s.
Future looks bright, I think.
And last but not least, Croatia lost 3-1 to Brazil. Vuskovic completed 82 minutes in the game. Look, unfortunately, Vuskovic couldn't help his side, his country kind of beat the Brazilians, but what an unbelievable experience this international break has been for Vuskovic, starting both games for his country, Croatia, at the centre of a back three.
Yeah, and obviously scoring his first goal as well, which was incredible. But did they score? Yeah, so the game was 1-1 when he went off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they scored two late goals.
So was Vuskovic holding it all together?
He must have.
Yeah, that's the question you got to be asking yourself. And there's been a lot of great quotes coming up about Vuskovic from a lot of players saying how ready he is, how brilliant he is. Saying the football speaks for itself. You don't even have to praise him because you just have to watch him. That's it, and it's really, really great. He keeps getting impressive every stage, doesn't he?
Yeah, Luka Modric said that he's played 2 very good matches, a great future ahead of him. He just needs to continue like this. Because look, at the end of the day, such a young player, it's easy to get ahead of yourself, isn't it? And, you know, he needs good people around him. He needs to keep his feet on the ground. He needs to stay on this track. And if he does stay on this track, this guy is going to be one of the best, literally.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So that is it. That is the international break. Now it is time to get back and focus on Tottenham. Still a while till Spurs play, but there are a few things to talk about in terms of potential transfers and potential transfers out. But a publication called Sport Witness claimed that before agreeing to take over Tottenham, Roberto De Zerbi had a major meeting with the ownership. During that, he discussed potential transfer targets and his general long-term visions for the club. He put forward Manuel Locatelli's name as someone who can help him improve this Spurs side, especially if they survive from relegation. I mean, he's not going to come in the Championship, let's be honest. But obviously, it's important to note that these two, you know, he played under him at Sassuolo, and that's where he really made his name, Locatelli, and got that big move to Juventus, I think, off the back of that. So they've worked together, they've thrived with each other, so maybe it's something that could happen.
I mean, I would love it. I think Locatelli is a brilliant player and he's absolutely perfect for us as well. So I think he's exactly what we're missing, that kind of midfielder who's very technical, can dictate the pace of a game, high volume passer, and got a brilliant passing range as well. And I think he's the kind of player De Zerbi really appreciates in the central midfield. And so if we could get someone like him, that would be amazing. From what I understand, before Spalletti came in at Juve, he was not that appreciated there, and they were looking to move him on. But now Spalletti's there, he's now become more of a central figure. So if that's the case, it's going to be hard to convince him to leave Juve for us, considering, you know, Juve, I know they've got their own struggles, but still one of the biggest teams in Italy. And leaving them to come to Tottenham, given the state of where we're at, is a tough sell. But maybe De Zerbi's a man to sell him that vision. We've seen as well, you know, players like Tonali have left AC Milan to go to Newcastle, even though he was a very well-loved player at a big club like AC Milan. So maybe it's possible, but I still think it's a tough sell. I think if we're going to get a player like Locatelli's, of the profile of Locatelli, it's going to have to probably be someone a bit more unknown, a bit more under the radar, and we're going to have to rely on our scouting to do it. But for sure, if I'm De Zerbi, I'm calling up Locatelli and having those conversations and seeing if anything can be done to convince him. Yeah.
Back on what you're saying about how he's kind of flourishing at Juventus this season, I've seen a few games in the Champions League where he has just ran that game. I mean, that game against Galatasaray when Juventus got knocked out, it just all fell apart when Locatelli went off.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got that stamina, though? Because he kind of does seem to run out of gas maybe at like 70, 75 minutes, or he did in that game anyway. Like, can he keep the pace of the Premier League for like 90 minutes? Because like Serie A is a bit slower.
I don't see why not. I mean, look, I think a lot of players like him obviously rely more on their technical ability than their physical ability, but you've got to make up for it in other ways. So, you know, Yuri Tielemans isn't the most physical, but they've got players like Onana around him.
He's got stamina, though, Tielemans.
Yeah, I think there's no reason. I don't think Locatelli has a problem there. I think he should be fine. Obviously, there's worries, and you got if there is a problem there, even if there is, you make adjustments. And I think he's exactly what we need. I don't think there's a problem with him in the Premier League.
In terms of on the ball, he's definitely exactly what we need. I'd love to see him at Spurs. I really would, and he's probably someone that we should have seen over the last couple of years, like for sure.
For sure. We've needed someone like him.
All right, and now we've got Florian Manea piping up once again, and he says that you want me to tell you something? We refused 50 million euros over 5 years for Radu. That's 10 million euros per year. Someone from Saudi called us and said they would give us 10 million per year to go there. We didn't even consider it. 10 million per year. Tell me how they would refuse that. It could have gone up to 15 million, even 20 million per year. It could have reached 100 million over 5 years. I would have taken the commission of 20 to 30 million, but we said we're not interested. There was an offer as well for him to go in the winter to Leipzig. Now we'll see if they'll try again or not. And according to Florian Monet, the relationship between the two parties remain active between Leipzig and Tottenham for a potential summer move.
I think he will be gone in the summer, especially now that Zerbi's here.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely be gone. It would have been best for everyone if he went to Leipzig, but I'm trying to remember what our situation was at centre-back at that point. Was he playing? I don't think he was playing, was he? But
When?
In January, when...
No, he wasn't playing, but we were lacking options.
Him,
We needed him as a backup option.
Yeah, so I think it maybe made sense at that point just to keep him around. Although there were a lot of rumours he was going to go on loan and things like that.
Yeah, we both were kind of agreement at the time, like we can't let him go unless we bring in like 2 more. Yeah,
so I think he'll be gone in the summer. I don't think he's going to play much between now and the end of the season. So I think it's best for everyone. I think he needs to move, and I think we need him to move.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 50 million, I mean, rejecting Saudi. I mean, if it is true, shows his ambition to make it work in Europe. I wonder how much the offer from Leipzig was. I reckon it was probably a loan deal or something.
Yeah, maybe loan with an option or something like that.
I doubt.
Or maybe just a straight loan.
I reckon we rejected it. I don't know, maybe not.
Well, I think they're saying that he rejected Saudi personally. Personally, he didn't want to go there, but maybe it was us that rejected Leipzig. All right. Well, that is your Tottenham update for today.
There's a bit of one here from Michael Bridge. There's a couple things actually. Michael Bridge, where was it? Sorry. He just spoke about Zerbi, and he says, just had it up, it went away. He says, Zerbi expected to arrive in London today. He will start work with the squad on Friday when everyone has returned from international duty. There are no plans for him to have a press conference this week. He wants to have a week to work with the players, assess his options and prepare for the game at Sunderland a week on Sunday with Sky Cover. So there you go. He's arriving.
So he wasn't there yesterday.
We heard rumours he was there yesterday, but I guess that wasn't true. Well, unless he was there and then wasn't there and then is there on Friday. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to how he sees different players, how he assesses the squad, and yeah, I guess we'll have to wait until next week to actually hear from him first. I'm sure we'll do some in-house interviews.
Yeah, he'll do an in-house interview, but in terms of really addressing the press, will be the first press conference.
Is everyone going to be back Friday? Is that right?
Yeah, everyone should be back by Friday.
Everyone will be back on Friday.
Everyone's on their way back now.
Everyone's on their way back. I'm looking forward to this. It should be fireworks at training.
All right, well, that is your Tottenham update. And now it's time to get some people on to get their reactions to the signing of Roberto De Zerbi. And we're going to find out how this is going to impact delegation. So let's get into this. How you doing, Stel?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
You can hear him. Are we unplugged? One second.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Did you unplug it from there yesterday?
No.
Wait, it's this one. You know?
Speak, Stel?
Testing.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Stelios.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, how you doing, my friend? Got a bit of a tan going on. Cyprus is treating you well?
Yeah, the weather's good here. So different climate, different treatment on the skin. I'm not complaining.
Yeah. So De Zerbi is now officially the manager. What's your take? Are you happy?
Well, I'm not bothered because De Zerbi in, De Zerbi out. For me, nothing changes with Enoch here. So it's Enoch out. That's the only way anything changes. That's not going to change. With regards to De Zerbi, what will he do under ENIC? I don't know if he'll keep us up or not. That I don't think anyone knows. The football will improve. The football will be much better, be more attacking, more possession-based, more front-foot football, the so-called Tottenham way. I think we're going to win more games than what we've done in the last 2-3 years. But eventually it's going to crash and burn and all hell's going to break loose and he's going to do a Conte and storm out the building and he'll get sacked. Whether it's 18 months, 2 years, this project won't last. It's a ridiculous appointment for the long term.
Yeah, I hear that, but in terms of just your personal view, isn't this what you want? Someone who's going to call out the board, someone who's going to hold their feet to the fire, and someone who isn't going to take any shit from them.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately, that's not going to change anything because for me, I think our fan base have shown that they're not prepared to do what is needed to remove or force change from ENIC. So even if De Zerbi blows it up and he walks out the building, the fans will just say, oh, he's got to go, he's out of control, he's too volatile, we need someone that brings stability. That'll be the excuse, and then the next guy will come in.
So you worried actually that, he might get those wins to keep us up then?
Delegation isn't about wanting relegation, right? I know you're trying to trigger me, Ben. See what you're doing? Yeah.
You said you want to go down. You said you want relegation. That's what you said.
That is delegation. That's what delegation means, isn't it? It's wanting relegation.
Delegation squad is growing. The army is brewing, right?
What is delegation? What is delegation?
They're going to be lining the streets soon. The Stelegites.
The Stelegites. What are you talking about? The delegation squad. It's the delegation squad. So I don't want relegation. I want the fan base to stand up to this ownership. I want the fan base to say enough is enough. But because the fan base isn't prepared to do that, my argument is only relegation will force the fans to turn. Only relegation will force the ownership into a different path in terms of its behaviour towards football. And what you're seeing now is a panic move where they've completely crapped their pants. A guy that didn't want to come to us until the summer because he wanted to see whether or not we stay up. He's now said, yeah, okay, I'll come. Why? Because he's demanded the terms of this contract. He's completely in control of the direction of Tottenham. Give me a 5-year deal. I want £12 million a year. I want this. I want that. And Spurs have basically caved in. They've given him everything he wants out of pure panic. This is exactly what happened with Conte. We approached Conte. He said no. We panicked. We didn't know what to do. So we said, right, come back to us. We'll give you £20 million a year. 20 million? Yeah, go on then. I'll have some of that. And he's come. So De Zerbi isn't here because he loves Tottenham. He's not here because he truly wants to build something that will, in future years, look back upon and say what a legacy he built. He's here because of the money. He's here because he knows he's going to earn a ridiculous sum of money each year. And if it all goes wrong, he's going to get the biggest payday that any manager's ever been given in terms of compensation. So his number one driver for being here, guys, is the money. That's why I don't see how this is going to work.
But isn't it nice to see ENIC on the back foot a little bit and actually a manager has, I wouldn't say he's got more power than ENIC right now, but he's actually well within his rights to call the shots because he's like, you know what, I'm going to blow this shit up if you don't give me what I need and what I want.
Yeah, look, I see your point. It is great to see ENIC sweat and it is great to see them having to cave into a manager's demands. But see, the problem we've got, guys, is this. He's locked into this 5-year contract. Now, if we get relegated, from what I've understood, he's going to stay at the club. There's no exit relegation clause.
There's no relegation clause, apparently, yeah.
Right. Is De Zerbi the manager for us if we're in the Championship and we have to ship out a whole load of players and we can't afford to bring in new players? Is he the manager for that?
I think he'd be fantastic for us in the Championship. I really do.
Okay, if that's the case, then we need to get relegated more than ever. We must get relegated.
Why?
Because all the people that say to me, oh, if we go down, we won't come back up. Well, we've just secured the number one ability of coming back up, which is Zerbi. He'll be fantastic in the championship. So listen, let me sell it to you. We get relegated. ENIC feel the kind of financial distress that they just don't want to consume. They're petrified of that kind of financial pain. The fans will be in uproar because we're no longer in the in the Premier League. So the fans will turn on ENIC. ENIC will feel the pain of it. We'll be forced to rebuild, hit the reset button with a completely new team. We'll have to use academy players. We'll have to develop talent instead of thinking we're going to buy random players that never develop. And we've got the man to do it. And then we come back up into the Premier League, bigger, better, more structured, with the nucleus of a team that we can now build on. We need to get relegated, don't we, guys?
No, we don't. We need to stay up. They've got a manager, which, like you said, if they sack him next season for blowing up, for not getting what he wants, they're going to have to give him a world record fee, a world record compensation package. They're going to want to try and avoid that at all costs. Because if they do end up sacking him, they're going to have to give another manager an even bigger pay packet to come in, and then the whole thing recycles again. So they've got to back him. They have to. They've got no other way, surely. Like, they can't avoid... I know that, but they can't avoid another season like this. They have to.
Ben, I could go back on your channel and grab about 10 clips where you've said, we've got to back him, we've got to back him.
What choice do they have?
Whatever manager, right? This is exactly why I don't want us to stay in the Premier League, because we're about to hit the rinse and repeat button. We've got to back him. We've got to back him. They're going to spend big in the summer. They're going to throw the war chest at him. Even Zerbi has put out a statement that Tottenham is a big club. I want to build something. Oh, I've heard it all before. Guys. This is exactly what I said would happen. If we stay in the Premier League, ENIC are going to sell us a new story. The fans are going to jump all over it. And we're all going to think, hurrah, this is the moment. We go through this every single time. This guy's not even a winner. This guy's never won a sausage in his life.
But still, even if they don't do that, there's a chance. Obviously, there's a high chance that they don't do that. But if they don't do that, then this guy is going to blow everything up in the press, out in the open. He's going to show these guys up for what they really are. And, you know, I think it's a win-win.
It's a win for Zerbi, not for us. Because if he blows it all up, the fans will turn against Zerbi. Oh, he's lost control. We said this would happen when he joined. We all knew this wouldn't last for more than 18 months. What's happened? And what do you think the fans will do? Do you think they'll turn against ENIC? No. They'll start saying, right, now's the time to bring back Poch. We've got to bring back Poch. And by the way, all those stories about us signing Conor Gallagher, we signed Conor Gallagher because Poch is coming back, and Gallagher was great under Poch. That was an absolute false dawn, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It had nothing... Again, but Ben, this is my point. These are the stories that get peddled. These are the stories everyone jumps on, and then everyone says, "Oh, just wait till Poch comes back. You'll see how good Gallagher is." Well, Poch isn't coming back, and I've been saying for the last month, I don't think Poch is coming. I don't think this board are interested in anything to do with past sentiment, which is why they never looked at Redknapp. They were never going to consider Sherwood, and it's why Poch. They haven't spoken to Poch. So they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to things that the fans can relate to. They think they know better. They think they know what they're doing. This 5-year deal, it really, really, really just stinks of desperation, guys. I don't think there's any plan in this.
Yeah, because we are desperate. We are desperate.
And look. It might work, it might not, in terms of getting out of the relegation, right? I don't know. When we signed Tudor, I was not for that. When we signed Frank, I was against that because I said I think we need to keep Ange after winning that Europa. With Zerbi, I don't actually have a position on it. I don't know if he can or can't keep us out of relegation.
Well, what do you think of his?
It's high risk.
Yeah. What do you think as a manager, his body of work before joining Tottenham? before we got this deal agreed, are you a fan of him? Like, do you like the football he plays, tactically, that kind of stuff?
All right, taking my ENIC out, fan
Yeah.
culture at Spurs and all that hat off, put my coach's hat on, I think he's a fantastic coach. I think as a coach, he massively overperforms at smaller level clubs. The work he did at Benevento, Sassuolo, even at Brighton, getting Brighton 6th place in the league is unbelievable. His actual coaching is very, very good. He's exactly the kind of coach that I like. His football is exactly the kind of football that I like. I also think he's a good developer of players, especially younger players. And I think that tactically, he's probably going to be one of the best managers we've had in a long time, tactically. I like what he does. The big questions on De Zerbi are, number one, you've never actually won anything. And that, for me, is something that always...
The Ukrainian Super Cup.
Excellent. Not getting it over the line smells of the issues that we had with Pochettino. He is volatile, and we are a club that is known for not being able to handle that kind of drama and toxicity, and things go from 0 to 100 very badly. And he is a manager that will instigate that if he feels like it. And the other just concern I've got with De Zerbi is the way he plays football has got limitations. It's a bit like Ange. Ange's system is heavily dependent on having outstanding players in certain positions to pull it off. If De Zerbi isn't given those players, eventually it won't work. It will work to a point, a bit like Poch. Poch's system worked to a point, but then if he's not backed those extra 2 or 3 superstars, there's limitations. And it's the same. You could say that for pretty much any manager, let's be honest, actually, not just De Zerbi.
Yeah.
If he's not given those players to play his specific system, and he's having to then create a player to play in a role that they're not suited to, then his system, it comes unstuck and it gets picked off. So I guess these aren't so much limitations with De Zerbi, they're more limitations with ENIC.
Yeah.
These are more actually, as I'm thinking about what I'm saying, these are more limitations of ENIC. But as a coach, Sim, I really like him. He's not a coach that I'm against. He's not someone that I'm saying, why are we hiring him? I don't like him as a football coach. I like De Zerbi's football. That's exactly the football that I could get on board with.
Well, go on.
Let me ask you this, Stel, because we've had many conversations over the season, saying, Thomas Frank ain't getting this team to perform at the level that they actually are. We think they could finish in the top 10 with the squad that we have now. Igor Tudor, it got worse. Do you think De Zerbi can get these players performing? Maybe let's say we start next season in the Premier League. We probably will sign someone in the summer, but let's say we don't. Where do you think he can get this squad finishing?
Is that without being in Europe? So no European football?
Yeah.
Definitely top 8. Definitely top 8. Assuming there's no injury crisis. With a real push and a bit of good fortune, I don't see why we can't get top 6.
Yeah.
But
that'd be major for us.
That is me being very, very, the best possible season, because I still think, regardless of what De Zerbi can do, I think our front 3 are absolutely dog shit. I think this is the worst front 3 I've ever seen at Spurs, maybe ever. I don't rate our front 3
Still,
at all.
how mad is that, though? We're talking about the prospect of playing potentially championship football next season, but you're saying that if De Zerbi could start the season next year with the same squad, we can finish in the top 6.
Yeah, but no, hold on. I think top 8, not top 6. Top 6 if everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
If Solanke scores 20 goals, if Richarlison scores 12 goals, if Tell actually scores goals, then rather than just, lots of energy and good crosses, if he actually puts the ball in everything has to work.
Like
everything.
Madison and Decky back fit kind of thing.
Yeah, everything needs to click, then top 6. But otherwise, I think top 8 is the best that we would achieve. next season. Realistically, it'll be mid-table. But I do think without Europe, because Ange got 5th without Europe, but he had Heung-min Son, he had a Brennan Johnson that was scoring goals for him. We had Maddison that was on fire. You know, he had Kulusevski. So we had a lot more to that team than what we're seeing from this lot.
But you firmly believe that a Roberto De Zerbi can get these players playing to their level, if not better, is the main point.
Yeah, he's a coach that suits the squad.
Yeah.
But again, that's not going to happen in 2-3 games. You know, when he went to Brighton, he didn't win any of his first 4 or 5 games, guys.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of these coaches where what he wants will come through, but there has to be a period of patience for it. Not, 3 to 6 months patience that kind of Frank maybe needed. No, De Zerbi, you'll see the signs within 2 to 3 months. You'll see De Zerbi will beginning to come through, okay? Whether it manifests into results or not might take a little bit longer, but yeah, I'm confident he will get these group of players playing a kind of football that they can play, which we saw under Ange to some degree. We did see it to some degree under Ange. Just it was very patchy though. But is he going to do that in the first 3-4 games? Highly unlikely. Never say never, but highly unlikely.
In terms of his man management style, I don't know if you've seen there's these clips going around of him going in at players on training grounds, chucking some out of training. Also, there's been other clips going around. Highly passionate, high intensity kind of character who has very high standards in training, and he seems to like a bit of tough love. Is this kind of seems to be his approach? Given that he's coming into a dressing room right now, which couldn't be any lower in confidence, seems to be every time something goes wrong, they all have their heads down. What kind of reaction do you think the squad will have to a character like De Zerbi entering the dressing room? Will they take to him immediately, or do they need him more of an arm around the shoulder?
Yeah, well, this is why I said this is very high risk, giving him a 5-year contract and him coming in a very serious relegation crisis at Spurs. We're in a serious mess at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's very high risk because some of the players, I think, will really like that. They'll embrace the realism of the man and the football that he wants to play. There'll be some that say yes, finally. But there's going to be others that are just, who are you, mate? What have you ever done? Who are you talking to like that? So it's gonna split the dressing room. There's no way that method resonates with every different personality in the club, which is why everyone's been saying, and I agree with it. We need someone that's going to come in and put an arm around them, give them confidence, give them self-belief, tell them they're not shit like everyone's told them, tell them that they can do better, that they are superstars, but do it in a way that isn't, super fake, but in a way where they buy into it, which is why Harry Redknapp seemed like such a good idea. De Zerbi, has he got that ability to pivot as a manager just for 2 months and be that guy just to keep us up and then go into proper De Zerbi mode once we're safe? That's the risk, because that's what he's going to have to do. Because if he doesn't do that, I don't see how the team will suddenly unite behind him. Because there's characters in that dressing room that aren't going to have it.
Which players do you think will flourish the most under Roberto De Zerbi?
The Italians.
Who are these? What,
Vicario.
I don't know. Vicario, I think he's going to be one of the losers under De Zerbi, because I just don't think he's going to have the playing out the back.
I think the youngsters will flourish. I think the youngsters will flourish because youngsters are more open-minded and open to new ideas, and they're just craving learning. I think the players that are stuck in their ways, they're probably going to be the most challenging. In terms of individual players, it's so hard to tell because we've got no idea where these players' heads are at. Because we start games and you think, okay, yeah, they're on board, they're doing well. But as soon as we concede a goal, they all look like they don't want to be at the club. They look like they hate the manager. They look like they hate the fans. They look like they hate life. It's just you've got no idea psychologically where any of these players are at. You know, Archie Gray probably looks like the only one that keeps giving it his all non-stop for a whole game regardless. He seems, you know, one of the standout players that are hungry to get out of this mess. As for the rest, they all have patchy moments. 1 minute you think, okay, they're tuned in. Then 10 minutes later, you're watching them and you're thinking, why are you walking? Why can't you pass the ball 5 yards? What's happened in the space of 10 minutes? One minute Vicario's making world-class saves. Next minute he can't catch a ball and he's gifting chances to the opposition. But they're all like that. They've all kind of been very up and down. So I don't know, Ben. I don't know which players. Because it's easy for me to say Romero's not going to be happy with Zerbi. Romero's going to flip out on Zerbi and they're going to have a bust up. But at the same time, Romero might respect that fiery, passionate, Mediterranean kind of temperament because Romero's like that. You know, he's Latino. He's exactly the same. He might respect it. He might say, yeah, you're like my dad. I love that. So you don't know. Like, I've got no idea how they'll respond. I do think the youngsters will probably lean towards him because if you look at Zerbi's track record, he's done quite well with young players. He's not too bad with the young players. So I would lean towards the younger players buying into him more than the rest early on.
And with the play style being so drastic to what we've seen from Frank and Tudor, you say you think it might take maybe a few weeks to fully implement, but you know it's well documented that a lot of these players really liked what kind of Ange tried to do anyway, his intent, his style of play. So Zerbi going a bit closer back to that, you think the players are going to buy into it immediately in terms of, okay, wow, now we're going to go, now we're going to be attacking. Like, do you think there's going to be a bit of there'll be a bit of a breath of fresh air around the training ground due to him just trying to put a bit more attacking intent into his team?
Yes, but when it goes wrong, what's the response going to be? Because we are terrible at playing out from the back. Vicario can't do it. Like, Vicario cannot play out from the back. And then you've got two centre-backs.
But first season under Ange, he wasn't awful at it.
Yeah, but look at them right now. He's not suddenly going to be capable. And even under Ange, Vicario was suspect. Vicario always got away with it because he was because he's an excellent shot stopper. But take that away from Vicario, he's all over the place. Unless he drops him and says, "Do you know what? I quite like Brandon Austin. His all-round game's not too bad. Let's give him a go." I'm still not confident on all of our midfielders dropping deep and receiving the ball on the half turn. The best player at that is Bissouma. Was Bissouma at Brighton when Zerbi was there?
No.
Zerbi came just after he joined us.
Oh, that would have been interesting actually. That might have been good for Bissouma, but if he wasn't, then yeah. He
did manage Manuel Solomon at Shakhtar.
Yeah, but Solomon's not here right now. If we're talking about the relegation, because Sim's asking about the future, the short term. I don't think we're going to suddenly start playing well out from the back early on. I don't see it. I simply don't see it. I do see us keeping possession of the ball more early on, because if you just run more possession-based drills and you run more attacking plays with a focus on just keeping the ball, then possession will go up naturally, because the possession was 10% higher under Ange compared to Frank and Tudor. So, and Ange ran a lot of possession-based drills. So I think possession will go up. I think we will be more attacking. I think we will take more shots and be a bit more risky up front. But I think defensively, we're going to be more suspect, which is, well, when I say more suspect, we're already suspect. I don't think that will improve. I don't think the back will improve anytime soon. I think attacking-wise, yeah, you might see a greater uplift earlier on. But then the concern is, who's going to put the ball in the back of the net? We've still got that problem of we don't have goal scorers in this team.
Yeah.
So even if we are more attacking, are we going to put the ball in the back of the net? I'm not convinced, guys. Because no matter how much people want to praise Matthias Tell, he doesn't score. Richarlison, he's patchy. Solanke's patchy. We don't have anyone on the right that can score. Maybe under De Zerbi, this will be the moment finally Xavi Simons clicks into gear. That could be the big one to look at, because he can score. He's a player that knows where the back of the net is, but he hasn't been properly unlocked by Frank and Tudor. Maybe, guys, actually, that's the one we need to look at. Is this now the moment where we finally see Xavi Simons begin to step up, and that could be the difference between relegation and staying up?
Yeah, no, I think Xavi's going to be massive. Xavi's going to be massive. I think his development is going to be massive under De Zerbi, but we don't have time to, players take time to develop, don't they? Particularly the younger ones like Attell and everyone like that. So I don't think De Zerbi is going to come straight in and go full throttle De Zerbi ball. I think it's going to be a process where he might have to do a bit of give and take from now to the end of the season, but then next season you'll see it in full flight. But still.
But that's not De Zerbi. De Zerbi doesn't do that, though.
I know, but we're 1 point away from relegation. There's 7 games to go. Like, there has to be.
Yeah, but then you might as well bring in a pragmatic manager or someone that's going to be less gung-ho and less full throttle. Listen, the way I look at it is this, okay? We need, let's say, 2 wins. Let's say if we get 2 wins, that does it. Let's just go on that assumption. Big assumption, but let's assume 2 wins and we're safe. What are your highest chances of getting 2 wins? By being ultra defensive and hoping you don't concede and focusing on counter-attacks, focusing primarily on set pieces, or just going for it, just going all-out attack, to hell with defence, Ange Postecoglou style, because this balance isn't going to happen overnight. We've got to pick one method to win 2 games the next 7. I don't think the counter-attacking one is the one to go with, because you're limited as to how many attacking opportunities you're going to create, and you've got to be clinical on the few chances you create. I don't think
it might have to be a balance, not all one way, not all.
We're not going to get that, though. We're not going to get. We're not going to get that in 7 games. The other option is you focus on set pieces, right, guys? Every time we get a throw in, every time we get a corner, let's just do what Arsenal do: practice them. But then you need excellent deliveries of the ball each time. So for me, I would just go gung ho and say, do you know what? To hell with it. Screw the defensive duties. Let's just suffocate the other team. High press, high intensity, shoot on sight, and just all out carpet bomb it. Just go ballistic and hope we land something. And if we do that for 7 games, maybe you pick off 2 wins. So what I'm trying to say is, maybe just going full throttle De Zerbi ball from day one
is the way to go.
Might be, yeah. Because think about it. We need a strategy. It's too late to try and play based on what the opposition do with 7 games to go. We're not going to find balance in 7 games. And if we go ultra defensive, we saw what that was like under Frank. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
I think just go all out attack, throw the kitchen sink at it. If you lose 4-0, you lose 4-0, because maybe you win 2 games 1-0, and that's all you need. So if you were to lose 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 5-1, but you win 2 games 2-1 or 1-0, that's all you need. So maybe just do that. Maybe that is the approach. Maybe De Zerbi needs to come in and say, right, we're just going to go absolutely ballistic every game and just be all-out attack for 7 games. Maybe that is the approach.
Maybe the muscle memory of Ange Ball a year ago might help with that. Like, because they've done a lot of that. A lot of these players have been part of a team who like to play that way as well. So it's not like it's completely alien to them.
Maybe the ghost of Ange needs to return through the soul of De Zerbi.
Wait, Stel, last question. He signed a 5-year deal, De Zerbi. How many years does he see out of the contract? What's your prediction? De Zerbi bingo.
I'm going to say he won't be here in 2028.
2028.
That's quite a long tenure for him, to be fair.
Not bad. 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
That's my prediction.
Longer since Redknapp. No, Poch. Yeah.
That's actually a very long tenure for a Spurs manager. But so we'll see what happens, Stel. But thank you for coming on today, my friend.
Guys, appreciate it. And Delegation Squad. Choo-choo.
Keep enjoying the sunshine, Stel. Big up to you.
Delegation.
Oh, God. We had a couple of super chats. Powery says delegation all the way. And Nina Chow says, Nina Chow's back. Says Kudus will flourish under De Zerbi. He can unlock and help him grow. Hopefully use him more centrally floating rather than on the line.
Yeah, because I think that's absolutely right, because the way De Zerbi likes to play, he likes to, I've seen a lot of analysis, and he likes to drag his forwards quite deep to help him build up. And what the conundrum is for the opposition a lot of the time is, once you drag the forwards deep, if they're going to go man to man, they have to follow the forwards all the way, which means the wingers will then cut inside and make those out to in runs. And if they're doing that, Kudus obviously gets a lot of space there.
Yeah.
So I think that's what would be, and I think Tell would really suit that as well, being a bit more like a inside forward kind of player. And then the opposite to that is, if the players don't follow the forwards, then you've got overloads there in build-up, because you've got two spare players or a spare forward there in build-up. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we do with that, or what happens. And I think Kudus could definitely be the beneficiary of that.
His ability to go either way as well is just fantastic. But let's go on to our next caller, and he is our brother Amir, all the way from Toulouse. How are we doing, Amir?
I'm doing well, chaps. How are we getting on?
Yeah, not bad. You know, we actually got smiles on our faces for the first time in a while. A new day, a new dawn, a new manager. That's probably why. Yeah, De Zerbi is through the door. Amir, what was your initial reaction when you saw the news?
I mean, I'm really torn on the appointment, to be honest with you, lads. Because on one hand, you know, things could explode with this guy, and they could go south very, very, very quickly, especially with the history, you know, that we all know with ENIC and our owners and everything around that. On the other hand, you know, you're looking at a manager that does play front foot football, that did well in the Premier League with Brighton, of course. You know, got them up to what, 6th or 7th, you know, pushing for those European places. So did very well there. So it's, you know, it's a tricky one. And of course, me being out in France, he's kind of, you know, not looked at so good down on the south coast, on the Mediterranean with Marseille, because he didn't get them out the Champions League stage this season, which was considered a big flop for them.
But he did massively improve their league form.
He did, but you know, it's difficult. Marseille is one of those clubs where the expectation is kind of above what they can actually do, if you know what I mean.
So like Tottenham.
Yeah, quite similar, Sim. Quite similar, to be honest. But yeah, so he did well in the league at the start, but it wasn't enough for those Marseille fans to want to keep him around. At Shakhtar, he did well. You know, before the war started with Ukraine and Russia, I think he was top of the league over there. So we know he can work well in certain systems. I'm just hoping that he keeps us up. That to me, that is what he's been brought in to do. It's kind of baffling if you think about ENIC and their decision making. Why didn't they go and get him before Tudor? Why not give him those extra games and that extra time to settle in and, you know, maybe get a few more points on the table? That's one thing that I can't really understand.
I think at that point he was available, but he'd only left Marseille one day before Frank got sacked. So there was a 1 day gap there. Now, you could maybe argue if. I think apparently they did have a conversation, and Zerbi said, I want to wait till the summer. Now, what I assume is they did have a conversation. They probably didn't offer him what they offered him this time, because now we're desperate. Maybe back in February we didn't think we were as desperate as we are now. We were when we sacked Frank.
It's called burying your heads in the sand.
we were what, 6 points above the relegation zone at that point, or 4 points? It
Um,
wasn't 1 point like it is now.
It was like 5 points, I think
Maybe
it was.
5 points above the relegation zone. We still had 12 games to save ourselves. We were obviously still thinking, let's wait for Poch. We can get an interim to coast till the end of the season and we'll be fine. I think 6 games later, we've now realised that was a massive error and we're not going to even get to next season and to Poch if we keep going in this direction. So we have to kind of panic and throw money at Zerbi and get him to agree to come now. And that's what we've done. We could have done it maybe earlier, maybe when early on with Tudor, when we maybe could have seen it wasn't quite working, throw money. Or maybe we could have just offered what we've offered Zerbi now, we could have offered it back then. And we could have saved ourselves a few more games. Maybe that's what you could argue. What's, you were very much, I remember we were having discussions months ago about Pochettino. You were very much in favour of waiting to get him in. And, we were having discussions about Zerbi over Poch and stuff like that. The fact that Poch now, it's another opportunity, it looks like, where Poch is, we're going to miss the timing with Pochettino. Now we've got Zerbi in full time. How is that impacting how you feel about this appointment?
It's tricky, Sim. It's tricky because I think this appointment it's already divided the fan base before you even announced it. We kind of knew for the last couple of days that this was on the cards. And you've seen, I don't know if you guys have heard, the message. I'm sure you've heard the messages from the trust and a lot of our ladies have come out against this appointment as well, and I just feel like unlike Poch, whereas Poch would have united everyone. If you would have stayed up somehow with Tudor and brought Poch in the summer, that would have united the fan base, brought everyone on board, and we would have go into next season, really aiming for the sky. With De Zerbi, it's really tricky because on one hand, there's a lot of fans that will say, he's a good appointment, Premier League proven, knows what he's doing, can work with all the internationals that we have. He won't have a problem clashing with egos in the dressing room and putting an arm around those who he does need to put an arm around. I think on that kind of side of things, he'll be okay, but he's not the unifier that Poch would be. You know what I mean? So it's tricky. It really is a tricky one for me. Uniting the fan base is always going to be hard. You guys know that. It's going to be very tricky, but I think, that is kind of now up to him. Win a few games, people will forget. People forget. If you go up to Sunderland and you beat Brighton at home, 6 points on the board, no one's gonna, be mentioning things that have gone on in the past with him. Everyone's gonna be looking towards the future. So I'm hoping that he can come in and he can do a job. The fact that it means that we're gonna miss out on Pochettino, it is what it is, guys. It's a tricky one for me. I would have loved to have welcomed Poch back, but it's obvious that the timing's not right.
A lot of people have criticised this deal, 5-year deal, third highest paid manager in the league. Potential, I think people maybe even saying a big signing bonus as well. They've really thrown money at this situation. For you, was this necessary? Did we have to do this to stay in the league? Or could we have gone in another direction and somehow got to Poch in the summer?
I think your only way at getting to Poch in the summer would have been to, there were calls from a lot of the fans to kind of bring in a conglomerate of Spurs legends to try and keep us up, right? Your Defoes,
the dream team.
The dream team, bring in that dream team. But look, I think that's a bit of a pipe dream, okay, you got the vibes, you bring in your Defoes, your Glenn Hoddles, your Tim Sherwoods, you get Harry Redknapp out of Ascot and down the lane again. I just think that's really clutching at straws. I do think that at the end of the day, this may be the right decision for our club. I'm just hoping that, we can bring that kind of energy that we had before the Nottingham Forest game to every one of these last 7 games, lads, because that's all that counts, really. All that counts. Our future rides on these next 7 games. That's what it's all about. And for me, De Zerbi has those 7 games. It's a huge amount of pressure. It's a massive amount of pressure. And he'll have to rise to the challenge, and so will the players, because that's the only thing that will save our club from a massive downward spiral. I sit here and I listen to Stel, with the Stellegation and all this, and I don't buy into it.
You're not backing Stellegation, Amir.
No, no, no. I'm not a fan of delegation at all. I love Stel, but when it comes to Stellegation, thinking that this will be a good thing for our club in the long run, I think that's and absolutely, as we use that word a lot, it gets bandied around, but that's a deluded take, to be honest with you. You're going to lose multiple millions of pounds. You're going to lose players. There's no guarantee you're getting out of that championship. You've seen teams like Leeds, Blackburn. Where are Blackburn these days? You know what I mean? Premier League winners. Where are they? Your Leedses of the world. It's such a tough league down there, lads. We do not need a Stellegation. That is definitely not what we need. What we need is a deserbification. That's what we need. We're gonna need. That's what we need, boys. We're gonna need this Italian madman. We know a little bit about those, don't we? We've had one in the past, and we need him to bring some unity to that dressing room, to fire up those players, get that fire in their belly going, and do everything humanly possible to keep us in the league. Because to me, that's all that matters over this next couple of months.
Yeah, and we talk about the squad not being able to be motivated under Frank, especially under Tudor as well. We saw early signs of discontent under Frank, with Van der Ven and Spence just walking past. I mean, De Zerbi ain't going to let that fly. He's just not going to be like standoffish with like Thomas Frank was and just let it all ride out and expect an
100%.
apology in the morning. He'll probably try to lump someone right there and then on the pitch. I mean,
and rightly so.
Yeah, but how do you think the players are feeling right now with De Zerbi coming in? Do you think they're feeling more positive?
I think they will be feeling a little bit more positive. One, because the style of play is more attacking, and we know they liked Ange's style of play. A lot of players bought into what Ange was doing there. So the fact that we're going to be more on the front foot, I think that's a good thing. The fact that he has Premier League experience, and they will remember, some of them would have played against that Brighton side that he had, which really unbelievable. I remember going to see Brighton when they were still in the Championship, 10, 15 years ago, and completely different club to what they are today. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. So it's good building blocks that he has in place to get the players on board. Whereas Frank, I think there was a huge kind of ill feeling towards him before he even walked in the door. It
just felt like a lack of respect.
Yeah, exactly that, Ben. And you can put that on the players, or you can put that on Enoch and the owners, because they fired a man who got you a European trophy at the end of the day. So it was a very kind of toxic environment for Frank to even come into in the first place. It was the wrong appointment. I'm hoping that with Roberto, this will prove to be the right appointment. Do I have faith that it'll keep us up? Look, you've got to keep the faith. You've got to keep the hope and the kind of ambition in your heart as a fan to want to stay in that league.
Taken hours of convincing in Madrid, mate.
Yeah, you know it, Ben. You know it. Look, it's tough. It's tough because the writing's been on the wall for the last few months, and that's and Nottingham Forest. That was like a dagger in the heart, wasn't it? After the big show of support and everything else. So he's got a huge job on his hands. That is for sure. And I'm just hoping that fiery Italian passion, that will get through to some of these players who I think they are lacking it a little bit, to be honest with you. We talk sometimes about, them being entitled and that kind of thing. I think that will end with De Zerbi. No more, your place isn't guaranteed in the team. If you don't perform, if you're not up to the standards, you'll sit on the bench. He'll ship you out next season. So they're all gonna have to kind of, show what they're about now. And I do feel like even under Tudor, you saw some of those players shine through, right? You saw your Archie Grays playing absolutely fantastically. You saw people like Matthias Tell. I thought he was really good, over the last few games. Yeah, he's young, he's still raw, he makes a few mistakes, but he's been doing well. I think he may benefit greatly from having De Zerbi there. Vicario, it's nice to have a countryman in there. So can he get more out of it? Can he get him playing a bit better? Can he get him a bit sharper, maybe mentally, on set pieces and playing out the back and stuff like that? Hopefully. With our defenders, the way he plays, I think Romero will really benefit as well. Playing out the back, playing long balls, dipping balls over to the wingers and stuff like that. I think that's something that Romero does really well. His distribution's good, so De Zerbi can work with him as well. So you've got to keep the faith, lads. You've got to keep the faith, and I know you boys have been doing your utmost to do that over these tough times, and I think it is about that as a fan base. I know it's cheesy and it sounds, and I get slated for it. It's something that people, you're a happy clapper, you're this and that. Well, I support my club. At the end of the day, I want the best for Tottenham, and for me, the best for Tottenham is staying in the league and then rebooting over the summer and seeing where we go from there. Any talk of getting relegated is a good thing for the club. I just don't see Stell's logic, unfortunately, in that kind of way of thinking.
You and me both, I mean.
You think with De Zerbi, his style of management, how kind of passionate and intense he is, he's going to put a rocket up the backside of a lot of these players, isn't he? Do you think that's what they need right now? Or do they need someone just to put an arm around the shoulder and tell them how good they are?
Look, they need, it's a bit of both, Sim. It's a bit of both. They need someone to go in there, into that dressing room, in the first day, and be like, guys, we are on the edge of a catastrophe. If we don't do something about it, and it's a collective, right? It's a team effort. It's not just, this isn't individual sport. This is about a team. This is about coming together as individuals to come together as a collective and get the best result possible. And I think he'll do that for the right players. I think he'll know the right players that need that rocket, and he'll get them that fire in the belly. But with the players that need a little arm around the shoulder, I think he's shown to be quite good developing younger players and things like that don't have maybe the experience of a Christian Romero. So I think he'll do both. And I think as a coach, you do need to do both because individuals are different, right? People react differently to different styles of coaching. What's right for Matthias Tell might not be right for Christian Romero. And the same goes for some of the other players. Mickey van der Ven, who has the high aspirations of being one of the best centre-backs in the world one day. He might need a little arm around the shoulder, just reminding him of how good he is and what he can do on the ball and defending and the rest of it. Someone like a Richarlison, I think he'll need a rocket. He'll need some fire in his belly, and he knows about fighting for relegation up there with Everton. So I think he'll know what to do with individual players, and I'm just hoping. My main thing, that the reason I'm torn on the appointment more than anything is the fact that it's not a unifying appointment. It's not a Pochettino that everyone gets behind. It's one that you've already seen, the trust's response, and a lot of fans are very unhappy about it. My only thing to say to those people that are a bit disgruntled at the moment, and I understand why, and I get your frustration, I just think put that all aside. You deal with that in the summer. Let's just focus on these 7 games, get behind the team as much as we can, and hopefully, Roberto will be the man to keep us up. He's obviously gone through national heartbreak recently with what the Bosnians did to the Italians, which is just wild to think that another World Cup without them.
I mean, if you're 20 years of age, you probably never remember seeing Italy in a World Cup, which is just crazy.
It's bonkers,
That's
mate.
nuts.
It's really bonkers, and to think they won the Euros in between that as well.
I
It's,
know.
it's wild. It just shows you how awful Gareth Southgate's management of that final was.
Yeah.
Awful.
But
Awful.
quickly, just lastly on your point about, unifying the fan base, I think it is very rare actually to hire a manager that unifies the fan base. And
Yeah.
I think always the proof is going to be in the pudding. And if he can prove to the fans that he's the right man for the job and he can galvanise this team and get this team playing, then I think the fans will take to him and he will unify the fan base. That's what it all come down to.
Amen to that, Ben. I really do hope that's the case. He'll know from Brighton how to get fans on side. At Marseille as well, before things turned south, he was very popular there as well. I think up at Shakhtar he was as well before he left. So he knows how to get the fans behind him. So let's just hope that those first couple of games are critical, right? If we can get some points on the board from those first two, that's going to build the momentum. That's going to build some confidence. And I agree with something I heard earlier on the show with, we should just go at these teams. We need to focus on what we're doing and our style of football and just go and attack teams. Try and get an early lead. Try and get as many goals as possible and just get some points on the board. Okay, if we make a mistake here or there at the back, if you score 3 and concede 1, you still 3 points. So we just got to build a little bit of confidence, bit of momentum under De Zerbi, and hopefully, just stay in the league. Because, like I said before, that's all that matters. It's all that matters right now. All the other talk about next season, bringing in players, getting rid of some players who don't want to be here, all that can be dealt with, from end of May onwards.
Absolutely. Amir, always a pleasure to speak to you. Have a happy Passover. And
Thank you very much.
And we'll speak soon.
Very much. You guys too, and happy Passover, Chag Sameach to everyone out there celebrating today.
Big up to you, Amir.
Amir.
Speak to you in a bit.
Care, guys.
All right, big up, Amir. Next up, we are going to go to one of the Spurs kings. Which one's it going to be?
Spurs royalty.
Spurs royalty in the house.
Let's get him
Let's
on.
go. Ash Matic, how you doing, man?
Oh, you're mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, bro.
How are you?
Good, boys. Good.
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Far away, man. Far
Yeah,
away.
look, Ash, what's your initial reaction to the De Zerbi appointment? Is it you happy?
I'll be real. I can't believe we got the Zerbi. I'll be dead real. Like, in terms of tacticians, he has shaped football meta. He shaped football meta. Like, I don't think you understand. Pep Guardiola, and people are going to just look at it like, okay, Pep says a lot of things, isn't it? But he came out.
To be fair, he does.
He does. But he said, like, he actually changed the way he started playing out from the back, how he organized his teams. And when I was watching a few videos, and this is Brighton days, when I was watching the Zerbi, and they were talking about, because they used to bring it up on like PremierLeague.com, you used to do little videos, or Sky Sports would do a feature. And sometimes I would think, why would managers do that? Like, why do managers expose their tactics so much? But because his style is so varied, it's not just like one system, because we can go for it and say, oh yeah, sometimes he plays a back 4, sometimes he plays a back 3, sometimes he plays with a back 5. It doesn't matter. It's about the detail. He's like, if Pochettino was a hospital, I think he would be the lab scientist. Does that make sense? So detailed, and he's so meticulous, and how he shapes and develops players. And there's a reason why you've seen Caicedo at Brighton sold for what, 100 mil. McAllister, he was sold for what, 60 million. And for me, they don't look as good as where they was and at Brighton. Do you know what I mean? Caicedo had a few seasons when he was looking decent. He hasn't looked as sharp. Same with McAllister. When he first went over to Liverpool, he was looking decent, and then he's kind of like, mellowed out. But I could say another player like Ferguson, another top striker. He's come. All right, forget Brighton for a second. Let's go to Marseille, right? go to Højbjerg. Remember, we sold him. We sold Højbjerg, and now he's like regarded as one of these top midfielders in France. Why is that? The coach has got a lot to do with how he positions players. And I think someone said it, I can't remember who it was. And they said one of the best tactics is how you position and profile your players. Do you know what I mean? So that in itself just screams to me, Cole, this guy he's elite. He is what it is. I know people say, but where's the trophies? You're talking about all this, you're hyping him up. Look, it's not just Pep. Klopp came out and praised him. Arteta came out and praised him. These are top coaches. Italy, teams in Italy, top teams in Italy wanted him. Top teams in Spain wanted him. I remember when Man United were linked. Man United fans were getting giddy. Oh, we might get the Zerbi, blah, blah, blah. It comes to Tottenham, and then this happens. What? Bro, who do we think we are? Like, I just don't. Our chest is high. Oh, what? Because we're not getting Poch, huh? Like Poch is a good coach. Don't get. I'm not trying to but so is the Zerbi. Both could be right. You know, the Zerbi is a top coach. So for me, I'm looking at it. I'm feeling lucky. Like, how did we pull this off?
But Ash, the kind of argument to that is his volatility, and he always kind of storms out at clubs and clashes with boards and stuff like that. Like, how do we stop that happening?
No, well, we can't, because that's inevitable. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Every genius, like, they have their... Michael Jackson, he was a genius. He died early. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got other geniuses around. They don't last for long. They're here for now, but they're here for a good time, not a long time. That's what I'm saying. So with the Zerbi, it's inevitable. You know he's going to leave in the next 2 years to 18 months. But who hasn't? Like, apart from Pochettino, who hasn't? So, and I think that's where people are looking at it. Like, Poch is like the father figure of the modern day Spurs fan. And that's where we want to get back to. But at the same time, you just have to put a little bit more respect on who De Zerbi is in the actual football world. Forget Spurs for a second. And people will look at it and say, oh, but what has he won? Like, that's the only argument you can throw at De Zerbi at the moment. But you have to remember, he's still new in the game. He's still young. He's like in his 40s? I think he's in his 40s.
Yeah, I think he is, yeah.
46, yeah.
Yeah, so he's still... I know it feels like he's been around forever, but look, I'll put some credence to it. I'll slow it down a little bit, because you are right. In terms of his volatility, in terms of him blowing up and losing his head, I think the issues are when he goes into the transfer market long term, he might buy a player, say, I want this player, I want this player, I want this player, and then realize, oh, that player's no good. Do you know what I'm saying? But then do we have the board that have the stomach to go into the window again and continuously back him again? And that's where the fallout inevitably will happen, and he will end up leaving. But I would rather have a De Zerbi set us up and get us more technical players and play on the front foot and play attacking football, rather than this halfway in between defense and attack, or pragmatic or sensible football, because that's what we've been doing. Sensible football. Has it worked out? So far, no. We've tried the long ball. We've tried the crosses in the box. We've tried the XG. Oh, don't let shots inside the box. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe we go back to what was working with Ange, but another level. Because remember, as I said, the difference between him and Ange, I know Ange has won things across the world, but just not done it in Europe. I think where De Zerbi differs, he has got that experience in Europe, and he's raised from Italy. He was raised in Milan. He used to play for AC Milan. So he's got that culture about him. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he's a Cruyff disciple in terms of school of thought, or a Pep disciple, school of thought in terms of position.
He's also a Bielsa disciple as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, for me, I'm here for it. Whether we get the type of players we need is a different question. I don't know. But just in the short term, like, people compare the Brighton stint. They'll look to the Brighton stint, because obviously that's Premier League. And that doesn't look good either, because he lost his first 4, and then I think he drew his other 2, and he only won 1 game. So that's not really looking too good if you're saying, like, he's got to come in and firefight for the next 7 games. Well, even if we was to get relegated and we were in a championship, I would have fun with the Zerbi Championship. I'm not going to lie to you. I would enjoy those days.
Ash, you talk about his the tactical side of him. As you say, you know, we've got 7 games to save ourselves, and as you just mentioned, he took a while to get his style going at Brighton and stuff like that. How stubborn do you think he is to like his system, his way of playing? Do you think he'll compromise in the short term to keep us up, and then maybe go all out to Zerbi ball next season, or do you think he's gonna from day one say we're gonna go to Zerbi ball, we're gonna try play this way, even if we go down, or go down playing this way and then we'll come back up playing this way? Or do you think maybe he'll compromise a bit, try and at points be a bit pragmatic and say, look, this season we've just got to get through it, get enough results to stay up, and then we're going to start implementing Zerbi ball next season?
He doesn't come across as a compromiser. He comes across as a stubborn type. He has something called principles and stands by them. You know, like the guy from Scarface. He goes, "All I have is my words and my balls, and I stand by them." I think he's that type of character. Do you know what I mean? So, I personally think from day one, he's going to weed out who can do what he wants and who can't do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Simple as that. If he looks at Paulinho and he thinks, all right, I need my DM to drop in between the 2 centre-backs, and when that ball comes back from that third man pass and we hit that triangle, that next ball needs to go forward. If Paulinho can't execute a forward pass on the floor and get to one of the attackers, then Paulinho is not going to be a part of the system. Simple as that. So some of your favourite players aren't going to be in this particular system, however much we might like them. But I think, yeah, he's a man that he likes players that don't hide. That's one thing I like. Mm-hmm. And he likes intensity. So forget about, as I said, 4-4-2, 4-3-2-1. That's going to be different to how maybe a Forest manager sets up. Do you know, a Pereira sets up his 4-2-3-1 compared to what De Zerbi. They said, was it Kevin Prince Jr.? He's talking about it in an interview with Rio Ferdinand. And the way he was talking, he was like, this manager, trust me, he will play for one of the top 6 teams and he'll be winning Champions Leagues. Trust me on that. All right, cool. It's a bit of glaze, isn't it? Forget it. All right, whatever. But the way he was talking about the level of detail that he gives to the players, like when Kevin Prince Jr. was talking, I thought he was a coach. Because the way he was breaking it down, and I can imagine him giving that level of instruction to each player. You know what like Pep does? He goes on the pitch, and even if they've won, it doesn't matter. He's still got to break down the game, what they could have done different, they could have done better. The Zerbi's that type of guy. Like, it doesn't matter if you win the game, you need to win it his way, in his style. Do you know what I'm saying? And he was saying in his first 4 or 5 games, he said, yeah, we weren't getting the results, but that didn't matter to me because I was seeing the performances. And the performances eventually catch up with the results. So I wasn't worried, even though the first 4 games we didn't get the points. But even if you look at Marseille, in Marseille, he won 4 out of his 7 games. And he drew 2 out of them 7 games. Do you know what I'm saying? And only had 1 loss. So you could look at the Premier League example. You could equally look at the French example. Aubameyang, you know what I'm saying? People say he was tired, he's washed up, look how old he is. Bro, he's looking like a superstar. Like one of the top scorers at Marseille. Do you know what I mean? And so he's knowing how to platform these players. He talks a lot about body orientation, how to receive it. There's a video when he's talking about how to control the ball, and he's got his boot, and he's looking, and he's actually saying, look, control with this part of your boot here. And that's because he likes players to get on the half turn. So I'm watching these videos, and I'm like, all right, cool. This guy, he sounds legit to me. I don't know, innit? And I'm not saying here that, oh, he's going to definitely keep us up. I'm not doing all of that. Do you know what I mean? Because no one can tell him. No one can honestly say that the Zerbi's going to keep us up. We don't know, innit? But what I can say is the style of play and going back to what people want, which is front-footed football and attacking football and things that people enjoyed under Ange, this is a guy that's going to deliver that. And he's a coach that a lot of fans, Chelsea fans, screw him because they know that the Zerbi's a better coach than Mourinho. Do you know what I'm saying? Man United fans, they got Carrick, but they wanted the Zerbi. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it like, raw. All right, we didn't bring in Harry Redknapp to save the day and do vibes, because that's what a lot of people wanted. Vibes, good vibes. We didn't bring in Mason. Mason knows the club, everyone. Mason knows the club. Bring it to Mason. But there's a chance that you give it to Mason and you get relegated, and then you don't get a De Zerbi type manager because we were trying to save him for the summer. So I'm not mad if we fast forward that and, we're pocket watching. how much money is that? Blah blah blah. Brother, is it your money though? Is it your money? Relax, in it. Yeah, but I pay £100, but I pay $2,000 a season. Da, 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 da. Bro, like I know we're fans in it, but at the end of the day, we spent money on Richarlison. How much money? 60 million on Richarlison, 60 million on. You know what I'm saying? 40 million people still moaning about Archie Gray because we spent 40 million. So what? So 100%, what?
100%.
If they do the job, then who cares? If they don't do the job, you buy another one. You move on. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? But people want to live there. I don't get it, man. But for me, Zerbi,
all fans want to be accountants. That's all it is.
Well, that's what about. I just want to see good football. Do you know what I'm saying? And look, I saw the title Locatelli. So I know he improved him because obviously he was about 22, 23 when he took him at South Florida. So if people were like here, Locatelli, everyone's like, Locatelli, we need Locatelli, we need Locatelli, we need Locatelli. And then all of a sudden the Zerbi comes. Where's that Locatelli chat before now? Where's that energy gone? Because everyone was like, oh, we need a ball playing midfielder. Who's the ball playing midfielder creator? Huh? Oh, wait. Who is the ball midfielder creator? The Zerbi is. So Callister's been linked as well. Obviously, look, I don't know. They're just rumors, isn't it? So I'm not gonna buy into it. I'm not gonna get excited about the hype. But I'm just saying we've got an elite manager that knows how to platform particular players, especially youngsters. Even like Maxi Lopez, right? Maxi Lopez is playing at Paris FC right now. He's killing it in the French league. But even before then, when he was in the Italian league, he said, who's the coach that's influenced you the most? He's like, De Zerbi. There's hundreds of players that come out and they all say De Zerbi, because all he knows is football. He don't do the whole pretty up talking about other things. Do you know what I'm saying? Go on.
Ash, you mentioned earlier, the football meta, how he's influenced it, and Pep mentioning it, Klopp mentioning it. And
he called him the most influential manager in the last 20 years.
And I think he definitely is. And he influenced the way I think you see Premier League football at the moment with his press baiting and how his build-up play. But is there a case to be said that was revolutionary about 3 or 4 years ago? Football moves so quickly now. Teams adapt so quickly. That already teams have started to adapt to that way of playing. And I think already you see now hybrid presses and teams focusing on out of possession kind of formation and set up but to counteract what De Zerbi was already doing. And is there a case to be said that is De Zerbi already quickly getting outdated, his way of playing?
That's why we brought Frank in, because Frank was meant to be the hybrid between the two. He was meant to be the bridge, the gap. We tried the sensible one where, remember, Frank's more of the out of possession. He's more about focusing on what to do, setting traps, winning that ball back, how to negate the opposition, how to nullify your opponent. Whereas De Zerbi's got the complete opposite attitude. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be the protagonist. Like Frank wanted to be the antagonist. He didn't know how to be the main guy, how to be the bully, the flat track bully. Yeah. And doing that with De Zerbi, he wants to be the guy. And you see, like, okay, I know what you're saying. Like when teams don't accept the bait, like, to bait the press, meaning he wants the teams to press him. He wants teams to go man to man.
You can't bait the press if there's no press.
But right now, in the football meta right now, man-to-man is in fashion.
Right.
Low teams are doing man-to-man, so that can favour De Zerbi. However, when he was trying to break down low blocks, I've seen him change it to a back five, to a back three, use wing backs, to go 3-1-6, do you know what I'm saying? Even use the goalkeeper as a DM, do you know what I'm saying? I know it sounds mad, but these are little things that he's trying to constantly... It's not like he went to Brighton and stood there tactically in frozen time. No, since he's gone to Marseille, he's been working on his craft. He's like a Pep. He's a thinking manager. He's like...
That's my point. So is he constantly... Do you think he's the kind of manager like Pep every couple of years seems to constantly involve his tactics and involve how City play and set up? Same with Arteta as well, to be fair. Do you think he's that kind of guy where he's going to keep evolving it? Like, yes, right, he was revolutionary with this press baiting system, but with that, or was teams already catching up to that? Is he in the process of having to evolve again already, do you think?
So I think there's a difference between evolving tactically and having principles. I think his principles will stay the same, but I think tactically he is evolving and he's changing. And we've seen that with Marseille. Like I said, he's gone to a back three. I've seen a 4-4-2 at times. Do you know what I'm saying? He did do a 4-4-2 at Brighton as well, but he can change his systems. He can move things around depending on what players. He's adaptable to what players he has like at his disposal. So he'll look at a player and will think, because that's what one of the players said. He said, "This is what Junior said, Kevin Prince Jr. Boateng. He said he looks at the players and he says, okay, I've got this out of a player, but what doesn't he have? How can I get that out of him? How can I improve that side of him? Do you know what I'm saying? And that's how he platforms his play. That's why he's known to improve players. So that's why when they what was it? Fabrizio Romano posted that post saying, here we go, Robert De Zerbi to Tottenham. You saw a few Tottenham players liking it. Because they know, bruv. They know that they're about to be improved. They know what's going on. So that's what it is, in my opinion.
Ash, let me ask you this. Let's assume for a second that we stay upright next season. Fast forward to next season. Who is going to be the biggest beneficiaries in the squad? Which players do you think that are going to come on leaps and bounds under De Zerbi?
All the young players, because they're going to be able to take on the information. They're still... Because the thing is, when you're young, you're not set in your ways in terms of like making mistakes. When you're old, you've made the mistakes, and it's harder to turn those mistakes around because you're so... Football's like repetition. It's all about rhythm. It's all about patterns. And if you keep making those same rhythms, it's hard to kind of, change out of those rhythms, or if that makes sense, or acquire new habits, because that's what it is. You're trying to essentially form new habits. So I think Archie Gray will improve because he talks about receiving the ball. He wants players to have different body orientations when receiving the ball. And Bergvall as well. I think those two midfielders there, I think they will develop the most underneath him. You've got other young players in like Odobert. I think Odobert might improve once he comes back. Kudos, I know he wanted Kudos from...
They nearly signed him, yeah.
And I think him coming back in the side, I think he may save our season. He might keep us up because he's going to ultimately add the balance we need on that right-hand side, which would open up the left-hand side, whether that be Xavi Simons or even Matthias Tell. They might have a free run and goal. He likes people to break into the box. Sometimes he plays with 2 10s. Sometimes he plays with 2 8s. Sometimes he plays with a winger that's touchline. Sometimes he plays with inverted forwards. And sometimes he plays with midfielders that are playing in the wing position. Do you know what I'm saying? Or the fullback might be a midfielder that inverts. Do you know what I mean? So every position is basically fluid. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of rotations in his attacking play. So he likes to drag and create spaces, and he's thinking, how can I create those spaces? But yeah, for me, the education to some of those younger players are going to help. Bergvall for me, Gray, and Odobert and Kudos.
And also, we've kind of taken it under the assumption over the past couple of months, Van der Ven, Romero, they're done at this football club. Do you think this De Zerbi appointment changes anything on that aspect?
That's a good question. I think it really does depend how the season ends. I think Romero and Van der Ven will eventually be sold, in my opinion, because of the season we've had. I think there needs to be sales. We've lost a lot of revenue. I'm no finance expert, but I would imagine we'd have to, since that Kane sell, what was our biggest sell? Like, we need to sell
Brennan Johnson, I think, probably.
Yeah, and maybe that's the reason why Brennan Johnson got sold, because we need to make those purchases. Players need to go out for us to bring players in. And if De Zerbi's come in and said, I need this player, that player, that player, and this player for my system to work, then we're going to have to make a sacrifice somewhere along the lines. And I think possibly it could be both Romero and Van der Ven, or one of them. But the highest price ticket, I think, one of those guys will go, and that will free up money and space in the squad for him to buy certain players. I think Basuma might go as well, even though I think Basuma might be suited to De Zerbi ball short term, but I think long term, in terms of him, I think switching on, switching off, staying in the game for 90 minutes. I think he's a player that, because he's not on a long-term contract, is he? So I think he'll be a player that's easier to get off the books, to create space, add a player in. Bentancur's on a longer-term contract, I know, but again, he might be sold as well, just to give room and space and get a bit of money. And I said it before, players that he might like, they might sold. Even Porro, players we might like. Porro, he might even go. And I think it's because those players come from that era where we signed them under Conte, and I think it's been 3 or 4 years for some of them. So it's just I think it's a new term, it's a new tide where these new players will come in, and it'll be a completely different looking Spurs in the summer. I don't think it'll be a massive change, but those are the players I'd imagine between you've got 3 or 4 players. If we're going to bring 3 or 4 players in, then those 3 or 4 players that are senior need to come out to create room, in my opinion.
And also, if Romero goes, you've got a Luka Vuskovic that can come straight in at right centre back, and he's a player obviously very young that De Zerbi can mould right into his image, isn't he?
Yeah. Like I said, he developed. I know, like Brighton's academy is a lot higher than what we have because they scout all over the world. They've got like a scout for South America. They've got a scout for Europe. They've got a scout for Asia. They've got a scout for North America, for example. And then they've got scouts that are just for goalkeepers. They've got scouts just for defenders and midfielders. So De Zerbi will be used to having or be looking for players that can fit some of those roles, in my opinion.
All right, big up, Ash. That was unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming on. I think everyone in the live chat was just saying how gassed they are for De Zerbi now. Seeing how gassed you are.
Wait. Let me slow them down. I'm gassed. But like, go watch the videos and you can be even more gassed. I'm telling you, there's so much videos on there, but there's so much tactical information on De Zerbi. Like, it's gonna blow your. We've never had a coach like this. This coach is. I know he's a hothead, and the people wanted that arm around the players. We tried that with Frank. We tried the nice guy thing. It didn't work. And then Tudor tried to do the bad guy thing, but he hasn't got clap.
We also did the horrible bastard thing with Conte.
Yeah. This is it, Sim. So for me, like, he's like, if Conte and Ange had a baby, minus the trophies, of course. But like I said, he's still young in his career. I think they've got De Zerbi. That's what you get birthed. But I hear we're like, I've got the same fears as other Spurs fans. Seasons to come, like 18 months down the line, Enoch, if they're still there, if they haven't sold up, that's where we're going to hit a brick wall. Do you know what I mean? But the team would have been built for the next one to come on, and then we can move forward, hoping that they continue with this attacking style manager, kind of technical style manager, after De Zerbi. Do you know what I mean? But for now, like I said, I'm surprised that we got him. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm so surprised.
Big up, Ash. Thanks for coming on. Everyone go and subscribe to Spurs Kings TV, and we'll speak to you soon, Ash.
Peace and love.
Cheers, man. Wow, he actually got me so much more excited.
Come on,
that was brilliant. Sunderland. That was brilliant. And from one king to another, Spurs Kings TV, we have got Marlon in the house. Marlon, how are we doing, man?
I'm good. How do you not let Ash talk for so long? Jeez.
You know how it is. You know how it is, Marlon. You know how it is. Don't bring the mood down now. Don't bring the mood down. Are we excited for De Zerbi? Come on.
Are you as gassed as Ash?
Match Ash's energy. Come on.
Look, the one thing I was disappointed when I heard De Zerbi was coming in. The one thing I was proper disappointed with was that he's the one that's going to prove me wrong about Archie Gray. And what I mean by that, I've slammed Archie Gray. I think I was with Sim and I slammed him. I've slammed him everywhere he's gone.
You're not being proved wrong already, surely.
No, not in 2 games. You're joking. Come on.
Did you see his goal last night?
Against Moldova. Okay. I did see it. No, but he's playing really well at the moment. But the thing is that I reckon he's going to, like Ash said, he's going to be a very beneficial agree of De Zerbi. And I think all the midfielders are. And that's where I do agree with Ash at the moment. What I've said to everyone is we now have a chance to survive relegation. That's what disappointment does. Forget everything else right now. We now have a chance. Under Tudor, I think we could all clearly see we wanted it to kind of work, but it wasn't going to work. And we were just slowly sleepwalking down into the relegation zone. And that's what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But with De Zerbi, no matter if he keeps us up or not, I think a lot of us are going into this Sunderland game going, you know what? He's got 2 weeks. He doesn't really need to put his style on it. He just needs to get these players going, go out there and play some football. Just stop whatever you've been listening to for the last 9 months. Go and do something. I'm here long term, because that's the other thing as well. Right? I know everyone's moaning, it's 5 years. I don't care if he's here 5 years or not. if he helps us survive relegation, okay, he's going to get time next season. A lot of, I know everyone wants Poch, and that's what they're all talking about. But with De Zerbi, we just have something slightly, completely different. And if he's here for 18 months, he's here for 18 months. Who the hell cares? Because at the present moment, we are fighting not to go down. I don't want to go down. I think everyone said they don't want to go down. So he needs just
not
all
everyone.
he needs to do. Yeah, I know not everyone. We won't talk about him. We won't talk about him.
You're not backing Delegation then. You're not backing it.
Oh mate, every time I text Stell and go, I'm not with you.
He goes, I'll put you down for 2 at the protest.
Yeah.
The delegation parade.
But this, I think everyone needs to be positive about this. And I know a lot of people are talking about they're talking about the whole Mason Greenwood thing, but no one's talking about his time at Shakhtar, where he made sure that the international players were all gone before he left. He made sure, and that was their families as well. And people don't want to talk about the positives with De Zerbi. And it's kind of like, you've got to have a happy medium here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing. It's like, you've got to leave the things off the pitch at the moment.
Yeah.
Because Spurs have completed in a relegation battle. And I'm not going to sit here and say what he said about Mason Greenwood's right, because I don't think it is. I'll be the same when I was with Arteta. I'm the same with De Zerbi. But right now, in footballing terms, and this is what we have to talk about in footballing terms right now, I'm sitting there going, am I happy that De Zerbi's coming in? I probably am, because he's probably the best that we could get in this situation that we're in, that we could go after. Okay, and that's the bit everyone's got to remember, because I think Ash made another good point. I don't tell him I said this, but if we go down to the Championship, we don't get a De Zerbi.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the difference, and that's where it could be long term. And if Zerbi does stay and he goes, you know what, I want to see out this project, even if we go down, at least with that, it gives us a chance to come back up. And that's the thing with De Zerbi. His football will allow us to come back up, and it will allow us to kind of have that year in the Championship and for him to build. But even if he doesn't go down,
Marlon, do you think he'll actually stay if we go down?
If it's true, from what the rumours are saying, if that contract is true, I think he will stay. I think he will see it out. I think he will go, you know what? With Tottenham, we might look like we might think we are a top 6 club when it comes down to revenue, stadium, and everything like that. He might think of this, actually, I can build this from the ground up and come in 2 years and maybe turn it into an established World Premier League side and then have a third year. Because the one thing about Spurs, and we love chaos. We love a chaos, and this manager is chaotic. Okay, he gets to a point and then he kind of he blows up. But everyone was talking about that training ground video with the Marseille player that he had to bust up with. Yeah. But apparently, when you actually watch the video and watch the translation, a lot of the players tried to tell the player exactly the same thing, and he weren't listening. And hence and he just wasn't available. He just couldn't do what he was being asked to do. And a lot of the players said, if you come to this club and you can't do it, that's it. You've got to go. And I think that's how some of these players now in the first team squad are exactly the same. If you can't do it, and you can't get us out of this relegation battle, and you don't want to be here, just go. There's no point you being here. Just go and do what you need to do. But look, I think the fans should not be slightly excited. I think it's more to do with, if we survive, they should be excited for next season. And just look at it and go, this could be the coach that could be the one that just kind of switches it, turns things around, gets that light bulb on. But he's got to get through the next 7 games. And that's the most important thing in all this. And everyone's spoke about the money. I don't give a crap. This is the high risk reward situation. Yeah. You've got to do it. Unfortunately, the board are desperate. They are literally desperate. And they've literally wanted to get him last year, but he was at Marseille. They tried to get him before Tudor, and he just wasn't having it. And then do you know what? If it's the money that's persuaded him, let the money persuade him, because he's now got to come in and do a job and keep us in this Premier League.
Marlon, what do you say to fans who argue his character, his personality, his fiery nature, his volatility is the last thing we need right now when it comes to a relegation battle, and in coming into a dressing room in very low confidence, which we've seen a lot of players maybe lacking that confidence, and they need maybe arguing they need an arm around the shoulder, all this kind of stuff. There are a lot of fans who say De Zerbi, someone of his character, is the last thing this club needs. He's not a unifying figure. He, as you say, he's divided the fan base where we need unity. what do you say to those fans who think that way?
Again, you got to look at the positives because he's gone into Marseille and the players that he has turned around, he's managed to get them playing. At Brighton, they've come. A lot of people come out and speak positive about this guy, and he's not going to come in straight away and be like, "You're crap, you're crap, you're crap. I don't want you." He knows he's gonna assess the situation. He'd be stupid not to. At the end of the day, he wants to be in the Premier League next year. He don't want to be in the Championship. So I've got a strange feeling we're going to see a different side of Zerbi for these 7 games. Of he's not going to come in volatile. And especially with the squad we've got and the injuries. He's going to full well know he needs every single one of those players on side. He'd be stupid not to, okay? Because if he comes in and wants to be like that, then we're just going to go down. So he's fully going to be aware of the situation because otherwise, why would he accept the job as well? 5 years he's accepted this job for. It's not like Tudor where he's accepted it for 6 months and he can come in and he didn't realise the situation. And yes, the Zerbi probably doesn't realise the situation yet until these players come back on Friday after international duty and realise how bad the situation is. But he's seen it from outside looking in like the rest of us. And he won't come in there and be like, I can't do this, I can't do that. He will sit there and he's got to have assessed it because if he hasn't, we're going down. But I think he will come in there and he will put an arm around these players because you've seen it. Like Ash mentioned the Brighton players, the Marseille players as well that he has managed to turn around. And I think the same's going to be with Tottenham Hotspur right now. And there's a few players in this squad that he's probably wanted throughout his career. And like I said, he's going to turn Archie Gray into an £80 million player who's on form as well, on form. So there's certain players in the squad.
He's already a £50 million player, so.
Oh, go away, Ben. Go away.
But Marlon, back on your point before about ENIC, you know, if De Zerbi does keep us up, you know, they've like you mentioned, they've offered him a long contract, massive money. If he does keep us up now, then I think that will unify the fan base, and I think the majority of the fan base will be totally behind him. And then, do you not think even at that point, ENIC are even more under pressure to deliver for De Zerbi at that point?
We discussed this on the show when me and Ash discussed this on Monday, and even the people that were quite, there was the guy on there, and he's very ENIC in. He was very up for Daniel Levy and stuff like that. But he's turned a bit. But he said, this is the perfect moment for all us ENIC out fans because this summer will now show whether ENIC are serious or not. Because they have no choice. They're actually backed into a corner. They don't have a Europa League.
How many times have we said that, though? Like every summer we say it.
But they are literally now back to, we finished 17th last year and possibility we're in a relegation battle. We don't know where we're going to finish. If it comes to September 1st and they still haven't sorted the situation out, and you've got a fiery De Zerbi as well on top, all right, you'd be like, no, I can't do it. And he will throw his toys out the pram as soon as I think they are completely done with the fan base that are still with ENIC. And there is, you've got to admit, there's fans at the stadium that are still with ENIC because there's a lot of them that won't protest. So that for me says that they are still on the side of ENIC going, they think the club's being run okay and they think they're doing an okay job because otherwise they'd want change and they'd be like with everyone else. And you have to respect them for that. But I think a lot of them are sitting on the fence right now. And I think January was the first window, and for Lange to come out and say, we're going to have players coming back. This is the reason why we didn't want to panic and all that thing. This is the reason why we're going in a relegation battle now because, you know, certain players will come back, but we'll lose other players. So we needed it to do. But now going back to the summer, like you said, ENIC have no choice. There is actually no choice in the matter. They have to back De Zerbi. They have to support the players because there's going to be players sold as well. And let's take Romero and Van der Ven, who are probably the most likely candidates to leave in the summer. They have to be replaced. You can't sit there and rely on Dancer and Dragushin because you can clearly see Vuskovic will come back, but they still need one more because Vuskovic can't come back next to a Dancer or Dragushin.
Correct.
And don't get me wrong, Dragushin is not a lot of us will get rid of tomorrow. Danso, you can clearly see he's a good player to come in. He's not a first team one that you can rely on every week, but to come in and do a job like when Kevin Wimmer for the first time came in for Tonga, that's the sort of player that I see Danso as. So you got Vuskovic, you need to make sure you put him next to someone, otherwise it's talent gone because we've seen it with Archie Gray and Bergwijn. If you don't bring in the players to support them, it takes them a long time and fans like me will get on their back because we're not seeing that change.
100%. And there's also another element to it, why it's so positive bringing him now instead of the summer. Whereas every manager that comes in the summer, like Thomas Frank came in and we were like, oh, he needs a bit of time to assess the squad. Now he's got this time to assess the squad. So bang, at the end of the season, he'll know who he needs, who he wants to get rid of and who he wants to bring in. That's the most positive thing about it going into next season.
And that is so key right now. And that's the thing. He's got 7 games to assess it, and he will know, because he will know which ones are up for the fight, which ones are not. And those are the players that he's going to want long term, the ones that are up for the fight. And I think we can see as fans who are up for it, but we can also see the players that are kind of going, you know what, I don't care if this club gets relegated at the same time. But look, people have got to not be excited. I get the reservations, but they've got to kind of look. The next 7 games are probably are going to be the most important for a very long time.
Yeah, and
we just need to be. We don't need to be split on this, right? There was a reason why we tried to go against Nottingham Forest and try to bring all together. We've got to keep that going. We've got to kind of keep these positive vibes and kind of make sure that infects the team for them to go out and play football. Because unfortunately, we've got 3 home games that in any other season are winnable. We've won 2 home games this year, 2 home games. And we just need to get performances and we need to get results. And that's all that matters. It's about results. I don't care. Like I know Ash mentioned before about the football and whatnot. I don't care about the football. I just want to get results. We just need to get over that line in the next couple of weeks and make sure that we are not in the Championship next year. Look, it'd be some fun away days, don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to be there. And I'm not one of them, like, there's no VAR. I'm not that bad about VAR. I just think it is what it is. Just get used to it.
If we're doing Zerbi bingo, Marlon, how many years into his 5-year deal does he last?
That's a good point. To the end of next season.
Ah, so what? Just over a year?
Just over a year, yeah.
So what? 4 years we're going to have to pay out.
January, Enoch will turn back into Enoch and he'll
you're saying
bust.
In January we'll start getting the grumblings, he's unhappy, we'll start getting more and more press conferences, there'll be a blow up in April, by the end of the season he'll be gone.
But if we're in the Premier League, he leaves a hero.
I reckon he lasts a bit longer than that. I reckon past the end of next season, but
I think we're going to fall in love with them as a fan base. If you like Brighton, if you see the positive stuff they've put out, a lot of their fans, they loved him. Marseille fans loved him. I think the way we are at the moment, I think we're just looking for a manager to love. And Frank wasn't that guy. Tudor was too short. And Postecoglou, even he just split the fan base at the end because we were shit in the bed with Premier League results.
Yeah.
And it was the results bits that kind of killed him. But we all fell in love with him after the Europa League. But the problem, I think, with Zerbi, I think he's got a very Poch-esque about him, the way he lets the fans, the way he is with the fans. And I think what will happen is they'll be against him now, but give it a year or so, probably into next season. And once we start
just
seeing
about
football,
when he's about to leave.
Yeah, but no, not just before January. I think around October, like after that, I think once the season starts and we start seeing the football that he wants to play, I think a lot of the fans will be happy about it, and I think that's when he'll get that affectionate with us, and then that's when a lot of them will turn.
But if that does happen, then that's the risk that Enoch are running here. Because if they don't back him and the fans are falling in love with him, then they're running a massive risk because they have to back him then.
They have to back. Well, they've said for the last year or so that we've got money to spend. We want to spend it. We want to do this. We want to do that. And
then Vinay is saying we need to watch our pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like one thing. But Vinay, I don't trust Vinay as far as I can throw him. I've said it from day one. Any gooner coming into this club, I don't understand why we all going, oh, but he's a good community. I don't give a crap. He's still a gooner at the end of the day. But look, the club have got to show some ambition. They've got to show us something, because if not, if it's not this year that we get relegated, it'll just be next year.
Yeah.
So, because that's what we're doing. We're just sleepwalking into the Championship as we speak. And admittedly, last year there was no way we were going to get relegated, so we get away with it. But finishing 17th is still on our CV kind of thing. But this year, we're towing the line. We are literally towing the line, and that's the thing. We've just got to survive this.
Absolutely. Big up, Marlon. Thanks for coming on today. Everyone, do go and subscribe to Spurs Kings TV once again, and we'll speak to you soon, bro.
Yeah, big up, boys.
Big up.
Come on. That's great. Big up to Marlon. Big up to Ash. Big up to everyone else that called in as well. That is it from us today. We'll see you all again very, very soon. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.